In Iran, the street demands the end of the regime, spews contempt for their leaders, and declares this the final battle. Over the last few days, protesters set fire to symbols of the regime's repression, including this mosque in Tehran, and sources of government power, including municipal buildings in the north. The response has been ruthless. In the last 2 weeks, human rights groups now accuse security forces of killing about 500 protesters. The protests began in late December, triggered by rising prices. They expanded into calls for regime change and in unprecedented ways. Geographically, spreading from urban centers to rural provinces such as Ardabil in the north, and socioeconomically to include both the working and middle classes across the country. And despite the danger, protesters continue their clashes with police, calling for an end to a government that gives religious leaders ultimate control.
Jose, today for the first time, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei admitted that thousands of people have been killed. A U.S.-based human rights group estimates about 3,000 protesters have been killed by Iranian security forces. But because of the internet blackout over the last week, the actual numbers are very hard to independently confirm. Now, in his speech today, Khamenei didn't take any responsibility for the killings that he described as, quote, inhumane and savage, instead blaming the protesters and also the United States for inciting the violence, calling President Trump a criminal.
After 3 weeks of turmoil in Iran, it does appear that the protests are being crushed. A brutal and bloody crackdown, leaving thousands dead and arrested. Despite President Trump promising help is on the way, he's now thanking the regime and appearing to back away from military action, posting, "I greatly respect the fact that all scheduled hangings which were to take place yesterday, over 800 of them, have been cancelled by the leadership of Iran." Now, it's not possible to verify his claims, and in a sign that the crisis may not have entirely passed, the Pentagon expected to send more military assets to the Middle East, possibly including the USS Lincoln carrier strike group, seen here steaming towards the region.
We do not seek war, but we are fully prepared for it. At the same time, as I have repeatedly said, we are also ready for negotiations.
If you call them leaders, I don't know.
Last night, President Trump confirmed he was considering a military strike.
But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options.
But also acknowledged Iran's willingness to talk.
A meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
The situation that has been unfolding in Iran right now is nothing short of a real, scary, terrible, but also very inspiring and rare time and show of incredible bravery by the Iranian people. And I think far too many of us have been quiet and not vocally supporting this very brave move to unseat this oppressive, evil regime that has been perhaps the world's, not even perhaps, it is the world's biggest sponsor of terror, literally funding terror proxies all over the Middle East and around the globe, and repressing its own people, and ensuring that women in Iran do not have equal rights, that gay people get hanged from cranes, that women get beaten or murdered for showing their hair. That's beyond not equal rights. That's quite a difference in rights, I would say. And we need to speak up and support it. If you speak up about death that you find unjustified in certain circumstances, why would you not do it here? We must speak out and support the Iranian people and pray that the Iranian regime, this evil supreme leader, Khomeini regime, gets toppled once and for all. We can't allow anymore these radicals, these fundamentalists, to impose their religious beliefs on the rest of the world, to impose it on millions of people in their own nations. And we must stand by them in their time of need, as thousands of them are being murdered in the streets, their blood literally filling the streets, and body bags scattered all over the morgues and overflowing outside, and falsely calling them terrorists is what the regime is doing. And while the Trump administration has been acting as though it's going to have the back of the Iranian people and saying help is on the way, it then thanked the regime for not hanging 800 people and calling it great respect that he has for them for not hanging people.
You urged protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar
Well, we're
for
going to see.
intervention
As you
changed?
know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday. and I greatly respect the fact that they canceled them.
Wow, what a low bar for respect, and we shall see if indeed Trump has their back or not. But it also is hard to escape the reality that despite his words about supporting freedom and protest for the Iranian people, quite strangely, he doesn't seem to support it for the American people in the country he is actually in charge of, literally doing the exact same thing and calling protesters here at home domestic terrorists for simply protesting and trying to stop what they view as racist and what I view as racist and illegal and incredibly damaging to our communities action from ICE that Trump is forcing upon cities that do not want it and upon states that do not want it. But that said, he is not as bad as the Iranian regime, at this point at least. And here's a clip of Lindsey Graham addressing that point.
To compare President Trump and the Trump regime to the Ayatollah means you got the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome in the world. Go to hell. President Trump is standing with people, demanding their freedom. Why are these people in the streets this long? They believe Trump has their back. President Trump said, if they come after you, they got to go through me.
Do you want America to go into Iran and take out the Ayatollah?
I don't want a military invasion of Iran. I don't want any boots on the ground. But President Trump has chosen wisely to be with the protesters. He's the first president since 1979 to pick the people over the Ayatollah.
Do you want President Trump and the U.S. military to go in and extract the Ayatollah from Iran?
I don't care if they extract him, but I want him to be considered. He's the modern day Hitler. He's a religious Nazi. He's a horrible person. It's time for him to go. The people want him to go. Trump has done what Reagan did. Reagan went to the Berlin Wall and said, tear this wall down. Donald Trump picked the people over the Ayatollah. Donald Trump says the best way to make Iran great again is for the protesters to win and the regime to come down. How do you do that? Whatever action we're going to take, Mr. President, needs to embolden the protesters and scare the hell out of the regime. If I were you, Mr. President, I would kill the leadership that are killing the people. There are a lot of headlines out there that are, in my view, not accurate. President Trump's resolve is not the question. The question is, when we do an operation like this, should it be bigger or smaller? I'm in the camp of bigger. Time will tell. I'm hopeful and optimistic that the regime days are numbered.
And look, I don't think that Trump necessarily, and certainly Lindsey Graham necessarily, have the best interests of the Iranian people in mind or care that much about democracy, because they do so much to undermine and tear down democracy here at home, to undermine our elections, to not believe in the voice of the people getting to decide who is in power. But we find ourselves under the administration of these people for the second time, and so we can at least, I guess, hope that they encourage the world to move in the direction that can end worse evils or other evils in other places in the world, because that might be an ancillary benefit that we can get during a difficult time here at home. And so it doesn't all have to be bad. And I just hope and pray that the Iranian people can be freed. I hope and pray that the Iranian people prevail in this circumstance. I hope that America can help in whatever way that we can to get rid of this truly, deeply despicable, evil, murderous, literally terrorist regime, and that the world can be a better place and that peace can finally spread through the Middle East to all corners of it, and without the head of the snake being able to dictate all of the actions that have rippled through the Middle East and caused so much harm. There may be some hope of that. So I'm hopeful, and I hope that you are too, and I'm speaking out, and I hope that you will too, on your social media and anywhere that you have influence, to encourage these Iranian protests and to hope these evil people in charge will be no longer. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. You can follow me on Instagram at Ben Gleib for lots more, and even for stand-up comedy videos, believe it or not. Despite these serious times, we also have to blow off some steam and laugh a little bit in our one life, so check those out. Thank you for your time. Free Iran.